Good evening and welcome to this week's edition of Sports Report. On tonight's programme we'll be looking back at the sporting element of the Royal Marines' 350th anniversary celebrations which took place at the weekend. We'll be catching up with netball with a focus this time on the Rocks Juniors, with the GNA hosting a youth festival across Saturday and Sunday at the Bayside Complex which attracted teams from the UK. We'll also be talking rhythmic gymnastics with the GRGA holding a training camp with GB coach Debbie Howes for their elite gymnast in preparation for the upcoming season. We start with football, and the focus in the GFA Premier League moved to round 5 this week, as Richard reports.
6 of the 8 Premier teams have now played 5 games each, while St Joseph's and Lynx have a game in hand after their game was postponed last week. There were very few goals from 3 of the 4 teams in the top half of the table, and this weekend results have led to a few more changes in the league standings. The weekend's action began on Friday evening as scheduled, when Lincoln took on a Glasses side who were on the back of their first win of the season against Lions last week. Lincoln began playing a very patient style of football, passing the ball around in defence with no urgency, and progressing upfield when possible without too much difficulty. They were awarded a free kick outright, but it was defended well by Cardona. They were by far the more dominant of the two sides, with Glasses very rarely playing the ball inside the Lincoln half. Nevertheless, Glasses were producing some solid defending, limiting their opponents and forcing shots from range which weren't finding the targets. Despite various chances for Lincoln to open the scoring, the first half was rather uneventful until 5 minutes from the break, when Glasses were reduced to 10 men, making the uphill struggle to control Lincoln even harder. Campos Garcia was shown an avoidable second yellow for entering the field of play without the referee's approval after an injury. The second half continued along the same lines as the first, with Lincoln constantly on the front foot, whilst Glasses were hanging on to the 0-0 scoreline. The score remained 0-0 until the 78th minute, when Liam Walker finally broke the deadlock for Lincoln. Lee Casiaro advanced into the box with the ball before laying it off to Clinton, whose shot came off the defender and fell for Walker, who volleyed it into the top corner. His goal proved to be the difference between the two sides, as Lincoln recorded a narrow 1-0 victory in the end, enough for the 3 points and to stay right on the Lynx's tail. As always, there were 2 games to enjoy on Saturday, with a real battle expected in the late kick-off between Manchester 62 and College Europa. But first, a quick look at the early game, where still unbeaten league leaders Lynx faced newly promoted and bottom of the table Britannia. Unfortunately, we were unable to make the game, but we can tell you that Lynx earned the 3 points, but left it quite late to do so. Britannia did well to hold on for so long, with the score tied at 0-0 for over an hour. But in the 68th minute, Lynx were awarded a penalty, which Rafa Vado converted for the lead. It was plain sailing from then on, as they added 2 more before the end, with Ponce and Funes both striking. Next week on Sports Report we'll be taking a look at both Lynx and Lincoln as they take on Lions and St Joseph's respectively in the race for the top spots. The second game on Saturday provided College Europa with the chance to go joint at the top with Lincoln and Lynx on 12 points, albeit Lynx still having a game in hand against St Joseph's. A win for Manchester, on the other hand, would put them joint with College on 9 points. The first 20 minutes didn't provide many chances for either team. College had several free kicks awarded in threatening positions, but it was only their third which they managed to make something of, as Pegalahar forced Barnfather to tip over the bar. At the other end, Manchester only had the one set piece, but were trying desperately to penetrate the College defence. The clearest chance of the game came 20 minutes in, when Manchester's young Thomas Isola raced for a high ball played out to the right. He used his pace well and got across into the box, when Navarro was unable to connect well enough with the ball, allowing for a sigh of relief from the College bench. Isola produced an excellent game throughout and was constantly causing problems down the right, and was giving the College defence a good run for their money. In the second half, College started the more offensive of the two teams and had a good chance from a free kick before Pacheco was caught offside. Manchester then had the best chance of the game to take the lead when the ball was played forward by Navarro. The Sharawi was unable to get a touch to it, leaving Isola one-on-one with the keeper, who he managed to beat, but was unable to catch the ball before it went out of play. That was as close as either of the two sides came to scoring, as neither was able to break the deadlock, as the match ended in a disappointing 0-0 draw. The final game of the weekend saw a reinforced St Joseph's team face Lions, who still haven't found form this season. St Joseph's controlled the game in the opening stages and were constantly applying pressure on the back four. Lobato and Balsalobre were linking up well on the right wing, helping to carry the ball upfield. The latter making his debut for the Saints, together with Dobler wearing the number 4 shirts. The young Lions' defence were having to be very forceful and physical to deal with the constant pressure, giving away a few unnecessary free kicks. 15 minutes in, St Joseph's had the best chance so far. The ball was worked well into the box, but the keeper soon got a toe to it. But it fell for Gutierrez, who saw the keeper off his line and tried his luck from range, but his attempt was cleared off the line. At the other end, a good period of play from Lions out on the right eventually ended in a free kick, but they couldn't make anything from it and it was soon cleared away. On the counter-attack, there was a clear handball from the Lions' defence, but nothing was given by the referee, and straight away Lions were on the attack once again. The ball was soon played through to Arguez, but his first touch was too heavy to control. Lions then had another great chance to take the lead half an hour in. Origo crossed the ball from the left and found Garro, who came close to getting the ball over Macedo. Then came the opener in favour of St Joseph's on the brink of half-time. It concluded a period of good pressure inside the Lions area, including 2 appeals from the St Joseph's fans for a penalty, before Gomez got a shot on target, which was very nearly cleared off the line again. In the second half, again St Joseph's were the more dominant force, enjoying the vast majority of possession. They were awarded a dangerous free kick shortly after the restart, but Montes was unable to beat the wall of 5. Moments later, the Saints doubled their lead thanks to a terrible fumble from Carlin in the Lions' goal. Gutierrez struck it from range, and the keeper looked composed, but the ball went straight through his hands. With 20 minutes to go, St Joseph's were awarded a penalty after a slight pause from the referee. Gomez was taken down and stepped up to convert, making it 3-0 St Joseph's. They then wrapped up a 4-0 win over Lions, as Ruiz also got himself on the scoresheet in the last few minutes of the game. So after the latest round of games, the table looks like this. Lynx is still top, joint on points with Lincoln, but with a game in hand. College remain in third, but St Joseph's have now passed Manchester in the standings, bumping themselves up to 4th. At the bottom of the table, things remain unchanged.
In recent weeks, we've focused on the senior netballers who've competed on the international stage. This past weekend, attention turned to the juniors, with the Gibraltar Netball Association hosting a youth festival at the Bayside Complex across Saturday and Sunday. The competition coincides with both UK and Gibraltar schools' autumn mid-term break, with over a dozen teams coming to the Rocks to compete against our under-14s, 16s and 18s. The explosion of netball action took place in both sports halls at the Bayside Complex and saw hotly contested matches at all 3 age groups. And throughout the weekend, where time and space permitted, friendlies between the sides were hastily arranged and additional matches played. After 2 days of competition, there were clear winners in the under-14s and 18s. However, with the results were totted up in the under-16s, there was a tie and a playoff game was contested to find a winner. The match pitted local side Eastgate and UK school Spalding High. But it was the local girls who raced into a lead and were able to hold on to win the trophy. The under-14s title was claimed by Gibraltar's side, the Unknowns, while the under-18s was taken by Seaford College. After the presentation of trophies, which included awards for the best players in each age group and a Fair Pay trophy to Grosvenor School from the UK, I spoke to GNA President Moira Gomez.
It's been a fast, fierce and absolutely fun competition for everyone involved.
It was really, really good to see a dozen or so teams come across from the UK. They tend to use this mid-term break to come across. Is that a good preparation for our junior squads?
Of course, because it gives them the exposure that we need. We're very limited to outside competition, and for them to come over to us also helps us in our funding.
It was some of them girls that came over actually playing netball and hockey. It's a good double act. It used to be called the Soul Cup, now the Festival Cup, and it's good to see the numbers there, and the standard was very, very high as well.
Yes, the standard has improved tremendously because they now know what they're up against when they come over to Gibraltar, so they obviously look at performing better.
The standard of the teams, I've already said, very, very high. Our local umpires did extremely well to keep control. Some games are very, very feisty on the court between the younger ages.
That's right. As I said earlier, they were a bit fierce and they were determined to win the game, and that made the umpires step on their toes and keep managing the game and controlling it to the best of their ability.
And your committee was behind you again, Joanna Moreno, always at your side, especially when it comes to the youth and the thing. It's great to have people like that on board.
Yes, it's been a tremendous help from volunteers, especially over the weekend of the midterm, which is sometimes difficult, but very grateful to all of them.
If we now look ahead to the coming weekend, it's going to be another busy one with even more incentive for our younger players to perform well.
That's right. We have the visit from Queen Ethelberg College, and they are the academy for Yorkshire Jets in the Super League, and they will be playing high elite competition games versus our squads, and also be scouting on our younger players with the opportunity or possibly offering them a scholarship within their academy to combine netball and studies, which would be tremendous.
But it'd be good if we can get netball to follow suit and become a link to UK universities.
Of course, because that's what I think the players here need, the motivation to continue to improve themselves and sacrifice themselves to see a reward at the end of the day.
Coming up after the break, we'll be looking back at the Top of the Rock run held on Saturday as part of the Royal Marines 350th anniversary celebrations, and a special ascent of the Rock earlier last week for local distance runner John Lewis. We'll also be talking rhythmic gymnastics, which featured on the sporting calendar at the weekend.